Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. These are interesting times for the private club industry. The industry kind of thought that it was bulletproof and that it was not going to have to deal with membership marketing. It was something for which the industry, quite frankly, has been ill-prepared. And recently, as the industry feels the heat, it's starting to see the light. Folks are starting to see that it's important to talk about membership retention, talk about membership recruitment. The age of individuals that are in this room, by and large, are individuals that remember a private club industry that had a magic door. The magic door always came in. Everybody wanted to chair the membership committee because the committee report sounded like this. We have 12 applications, 1 resignation. I move my second finance committee report. Magically, more people joined than left. So we all thought we were doing the right thing. We felt that we didn't have to, in fact, pay attention to what we were doing because results told us we were being smart. We oftentimes were not, and we were fooled by those results. Now to be the chairman of the membership committee is something that is a very tedious and difficult task because reports sound this way. We have 12 resignations, 4 leave of absence requests, 1 application, I move, I second, finance committee report. And then the discussion goes on with regard to cutting budgets, taking away things, raising dues, and etc. And the private club industry has gotten itself in a deep, deep hole. You know the definition of insanity. To me, the definition of insanity is that the private club industry continues to do the same thing over and over again and expects those old results. It's insane. And I'm seeing way too many people just hoping that this is cyclical, hoping that this will all just reverse itself, and it's not going to. The industry must adapt. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that knows me, knows that I'm not a subtle guy. Subtlety is not going to do it in the private club industry. I have a lot of individual clubs for which when I go speak with them, they're turned off by my thoughts. And it's not that I'm always right. I've worked with over 1,000 private clubs. I'm working with 9 of the top 100 clubs in the United States right now. When my phone rings at my office, I am startled by the pedigree of club that I look and see on my caller ID. I think, oh, that can't be that club. And this voice says, how fast can you get here? Because the industry is an industry that tends to go by crisis and emotion as opposed to being proactive. And it's an industry that has to pay attention to change. Folks, I've got to tell you, I'm disappointed. These are 2 of my friends in the industry. Pat LaRocca is now at Phoenix Country Club. He's been the general manager of Phoenix Country Club, of Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio, Oakmont, and Mr. Nicholas, of course, of Muirfield Village. Not a bad pedigree. His point is the board decides what is right, and management decides how to do it right. Joe Bittis is a friend of mine, is the chairman of the national, president, executive director of the National Golf Foundation. His comment to me recently was, you can't fight a war with committees. You need a general. Clubs are having to decide whether they're going to, in fact, be stepping back and having less committee involvement and more professional involvement at all areas of the club. That's oftentimes difficult for clubs to, in fact, give up some of that control as club officials and depend purely on the professionalism of general managers, golf professionals, and golf course superintendents. I believe in hire slow, fire fast. If people can't do what you're asking them to do, don't pitch in, get somebody else that can. Private club industry, in my judgment, has way too many committees and way too many people who are in trying to stir the pot as opposed to, in fact, using professionals to run their clubs. That in itself can be a controversial topic. It can be a day-long discussion, Tom, as you've talked about. The private club has lost its identity. From the standpoint of both membership recruitment and membership retention, it's not as neat an industry as it was when I was a young man wanting to and striving and craving becoming a private club member. I always wanted to be a golf professional. I wasn't as good enough at Oklahoma State to make a living on the tour, so I became a club professional. But I always wanted to be in the golf industry because it was so neat. It had such a positive view and cachet to it. It's losing it, and in some places it's lost it. And clubs need to re-energize that intrinsic value of being a private club member, or they're going to be in trouble. Folks, the private club industry, competition has changed. You all know that. I'm going to go through some of these slides very quickly. We used to spend 70 to 80% of our discretionary time at the club. We don't anymore. 40% of all private club members play 80% of the golf at the club. 40% of all private club members play 80% of the golf at their club. That's you guys. I can't tick you off, price you out, run you out. 60% of all private club members play 20% of the golf at their club. That's who you're losing, the at-risk members. You don't understand them in the boardroom, quite frankly. You're the most passionate, affluent, envious members that the club has. You don't understand oftentimes the more at-risk members. That when dues go up, what does the letter of resignation typically say? It doesn't say they're mad. It says, regretfully, my wife and I can no longer justify how little we use the club versus what it costs. I get a lot of people nodding, with that when they hear that letter of resignation. Do something about it. Do not accept that. If people are happy at your club and enjoying their relationship at the club, they'll find the time, they'll find the money to in fact be a member if they have connection. Without connection, they're going to go they're not just going to go home and say, well, I guess, honey, I guess we won't do anything at all. They're going to go spend that time and money someplace else. We're in the membership replacement industry. You lose members because of death, health, moving, and just recently, the past 2.5 years, finances. You can't stop it. But you know that magic door? There were more people joining than the 6 to 8% who were leaving. So we didn't think there was a problem. There's still 6 to 8%, and in many areas of the country, 10 to 12% leaving. But they're not just magically coming back into clubs because there's so many other choices. Like it or not, you are in the membership replacement industry, and they have to understand that there's external entities that are out there trying to get your members and their time and discretionary dollars. This one, we become the golf course industry. It's just golf. I remember my father was a physician. My brother's a doctor at the Mayo Clinic. I'm the bum of the family. The club bill would show up. Dad would come home from the hospital. His half glasses would go down. He'd turn to my mother and he says, if I thought what a round of golf cost me, honey. And my mom would say, pay the bill, because the boys and I are at the club every single day. And he says, I see. It says, see page 6, on the bill. But Dad started to factor in how many rounds of golf he played. You know what? People are factoring in how many rounds of golf they're playing. And if you just say, it's because our golf course is special, because of this architect, because we have this national reputation. We're ranked the top 15 course in the United States. That is not going to keep your members. When a young person hears that Fazio did your golf course or Pete and I, they don't care. The purists do. I'm a purist. I care. But the average consumer says, did I have a good time? Did I have fun? Did I lose very many golf balls? They are not dedicated to who designed your golf course. Believe it or not, you in here you're purists. You are not representative. Oftentimes, the country club industry needs new blood, not blue blood. And as the new blood comes in, you're not seeing them devoted near as much to reputation, to who built your golf course. Am I having a good time? Particularly, is my spouse and are my children having a good time? Golf professional told me about 40 years ago when I was picking golf balls at the club, he said, Steve, if you get in this golf business, take care of the women and the kids, and you can tell the men to go to hell and you'll be just fine. He was right. You know what we've been doing? Taking care of the men and telling the women and kids to go to hell. It's caught up with us. We have to, in fact, change. People will pay for unique experiences. Folks, why would we ever stay at a Ritz-Carlton or a Marriott or a Four Seasons? For me, it's a wake-up call, a place to sleep, and a wet towel to do my hair in the morning. I might as well stay at a Super 8 if it's just a hotel room to sleep, get a wake-up call and take my shower, but then I will pay, and you all will pay for those unique experiences that come with elite, intrinsic value natures. You have to, in fact, make your club experience memorable and unique. If you do not, you're going to see people not naturally coming into your club, where you'll see people leaving. And the more happy your members are, the more unique the experience is, the more you'll put my company out of business. with regard to us helping you do membership marketing referral programs, because members will naturally be involved with that experience. I'll want to tell Steve Boyd, he's got to come join my club. It is unbelievable. And I'm not just talking about how great the golf course is. I'm talking about how the staff knows my name, knows my kids, all the wonderful things that happen at my club. But if it's just how many rounds of golf I play, or I'm not prideful and it's not unique, I'm probably not going to bring the conversation up over cocktails or at an event that we're at. I need to have something that I'm proud of to share with him, to have him consider joining my club. If I don't have pride in it, I ain't going to bring it up. And think about your clubs, how much pride your members have in their experience. And you may find yourself reevaluating what your club experience needs to be with regard to how you're doing business at your club. This next generation, believe it or not, is rather disinterested in the private club industry. I tell this story, and I can't get myself in trouble, but I tell all my stories the way that I do. I'm a Republican. I'm not Republican. Oh my God, that's why I get myself in trouble when I'm going to talk religion and politics. That's really brilliant, kind of a large audience. Because my mom and dad were Republican. I was sitting at the kitchen table and they talked about capitalism and stuff, and I get myself, I guess I'm a Republican. I'm a Methodist. I don't even know what a Methodist is, but that's the church mom and dad took me to, and so I became, a Methodist. At the kitchen table, they also talked about private clubs, and they talked favorably about it, how neat it was. That's where the friends were, and I sat there thinking, I want to be in the private club industry. Kitchen tables, they still talk politics, they still talk religion, but there's not a lot of really good talk going around that kitchen table with young men and young women with regard to kids wanting to follow our footsteps and be members of private clubs. My son's 31 years old. He's in the airline industry. He was with NetJet, now he's with AirTran, which now would be Southwest, makes a good living. He's a 2-handicap golfer, no interest in the private club industry. It could be because his father comes from it and he was disenchanted with how much I was gone from home, etc. But most young people are not seeing the private club industry as compelling. There's way too many raisins and not near enough grapes in this private club industry. We're not asking young people to come into our clubs. Heck, we call it a junior membership classification. Junior. Is that a bit demeaning? How'd you like to join our junior program? How about young professional, young executive? And I feel that ages go up to age 40. Most clubs go to 30, 31, 32. You know what? You're not a big boy or big girl for me until you're 40 years old. Get them in. Have lower dues, lower initiation fees. And certainly you have to, as we go down to the bottom, casual is in. I mean, everybody knows, or the majority of people know how I feel about denim. I'm an advocate of casual attire. I'm an advocate that people are basically friends at a private club. If you all are my friends, and these 3 friends of mine walk up to my wife Nancy and myself, and I say, Steve, good to see you. Oh, well, you've got on denim. You've ruined my day. I need to get a life. Because the Boyds have on denim, I should still hug him and say, how are you and your wife, and good to see you, and not have my day ruined because of denim. Now, lots of people hate me because of it. I can live with that. I've been hated by a lot of people. But if you don't understand the society we're in casual society, I can assure you one thing. My beautiful wife has a lot of denim. And on a Saturday afternoon, I say, you want to go to the club for dinner tonight? You'll have to change. And she's not going to go change. We're not going to go to the club to eat. How many times do you see people say, hey, I need to pick up my clubs. How are you doing, Mr. Grace? Could you bring me my clubs? What the hell are we thinking? Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, these people at private clubs are rather intelligent, rather sophisticated, rather educated. They understand what's right and wrong. But we've got phones, we've got signs up at every club. No cell phone. No cargo shorts. No denim. But join our club. This technology thing, I don't think it's a fad. I'm convinced it's catching on. And each day it seems to get more sophisticated, and they seem to bring more stuff out, these gadgets and things. these iPads, cell phones. Oh no, but not us. We're not going to embrace that because I didn't join my club to have all that activity going on out there. I don't want any activity going on. I retired. Well, you know what? People are not retiring as much, and they're working much longer. And they like to have communication. You need to be the club where you got the neat stuff. If I was general manager again, I would send my staff down to Best Buy every single month with the club credit card and say, buy the neatest stuff they got. I think every club should have 10 to 20 iPads at their club at all times for the members to use when they travel. Rent them. If you're waiting for your wife, read the Wall Street Journal. I've got clubs that go into convulsions if you would bring out an iPad. You ruined don't read that iPad next to me. My best friend Steve, that had iPad pissing me off. Why are we thinking so narrow-minded when it comes to technology? Here's the next one. This one kills me. We don't have tea times at our club. And they proudly state that. Now, as you watch every commercial, and if I just read USA Today last night, I believe 27% of all, I can't remember whether it was airline reservations, we're doing everything on our iPad, we're doing everything on our cell phone. But if at 7 o'clock at night, we all say, you want to play golf tomorrow? Yeah, let's do. Hey, get a tea time. Well, the pro shop's closed. Well, look on your iPad, look on your iPhone, get a tea time. Oh, we don't have a tea time system. Are you out of your minds? Now, I'll tell you what, people in this room, you don't like me. I'm pretty good at body language. I can see a bunch of it out there. I said to a club president recently that didn't have tea times, I said, do you play on Saturday mornings? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, every Saturday? It was 8 o'clock. I said, seems like you have a tea time. You know what? Many times, club officials don't want an even playing field. They like the status they have as a club official. And they actually have tea times. But if you don't have a tea time, and I show up at your club and there's 20 of us, what do? Bring out financial statements? I mean, how do we know who goes first? Club president goes first? Structure is important. Young people, and even all of us, want technology to assist us in life. I'd like to be able to know tonight when we're talking about playing tomorrow, who's playing at certain times. You're going to see tea times, electronic tea times. I promise you in the next 5 years, every club will have them. Not just because I've said so, because your consumers will demand it. Membership classifications. Most clubs have this classification. You either are or you ain't. You have to have membership classifications that meet the needs of the consumers today. Single individual memberships, you have to have them. But if there's a treasurer in the club right now, I'm seeing open twitching going on, because if you go to a single or an individual membership and they're not paying family dues, you're going to have the same number of people paying, I guess, less money in the club. Well, we don't want to do that. We don't want to meet the needs of the consumer today because we have financial needs, so everybody's going to be a family member. But believe it or not everybody's a family anymore. Senior members, quite frankly, I don't believe in them. I do not believe in them. You either can afford to be a member of a private club or you can't. Senior members are not the future of your club. And it ticks off a lot of people in a lot of rooms. But either you can afford or you can't be a member. I don't believe in lowering dues. I believe in freezing dues. I believe in honoring individuals who have been in the club for a long time. I believe in having their assessments be less. But I do not believe in senior memberships with lower dues. It is a tragedy. It's a travesty. And those who have it typically wish they hadn't done it. Weekday memberships. They are kicking rear end out there. Monday through Friday, Friday till noon. That's a senior membership. Have membership classifications that a senior will matriculate down to. That's the appropriate phrase. You can matriculate down. And go down to and meet their needs. But if a person wants to play on Saturday mornings, 8:30, pay big boy dues. Pay big girl dues. Corporate memberships, Tax Reconciliation Act of 1993 took away the deductibility of initiation fees and dues as a common business expense. So they're somewhat passe in the private club industry. Affordable social and dining memberships. You need to have, it's amazing how many clubs will have a social membership of dues of $237. And can't understand why they only have 47 social members. You're better off to have 300 people paying $47 than 47 people paying $231. But what type of person are we going to get for $47 a month? Well, friends of yours who go through the vetting process. What they pay has nothing to do with their quality of individual. But as a former general manager, you need as many social members as you can possibly have at your club and a finite, appropriate number of golf members. But clubs continue to make the mistake of having way too high of social dues where people are not going to pay just simply for the privilege of dining at your club. Believe it or not, there's some other choices out there today than when we all grew up in the private club industry, where oftentimes the club only went as the place that had a liquor license and the best food. That's changed. We've not changed and adapted. Membership marketing. It's one of the reasons my company flourishes. We're over 1,000 private clubs, dozens and dozens in the New York, New Jersey area. It's an honor to be here today discussing this with you all. But membership marketing is much more complex than the majority of people give it credit. They think it is something that they can design it that makes them happy. Hey, bring in a new member and we'll give you a $500 food and beverage credit. No, go get them. Go get them. You're going to get a $500 food and beverage credit. Well, I can do anything for $500. So people design what makes them happy. They think there's this easy button. We've all been told that your hair grows back, you take a pill. I've been trying, I've done that Rogaine. What do you think I'm doing? Take this pill to lose weight. They think the same thing happens in membership marketing. There's no easy button. All I believe is membership referral. I have no other program, no other philosophy other than friends inviting friends. I think that's the only way you should bring someone into a club. But it's not easy. You cannot make the decisions based upon ego and emotion. You have to time it so there's urgency. There needs to be something where people feel as though they're going to miss out. If I don't invite the boys to join now, I'm not going to get what the club is offering me to go out there and do that. The boys are not going to get that opportunity. You have to package it. You can't just put a blurb in the bulletin that says, hey, we've got a membership marketing program going on. If you bring a new member into the club, you get a $500 food and beverage credit. The delivery system of private clubs is typically quite pathetic. It's not representative of the fine club for which the program is being initiated. There is not materials that I can hand to my friend that make me proud. It needs to be packaged. If we worked as hard on packaging membership marketing as we did on weddings and the member guest, most private club marketing programs would do much better. But seldom is there that much thought put into the implementation of the packaging so that members understand what's going on, how to in fact bring their friends into the club, what are the benefits for the sponsor, the benefits for the new member coming into the club. We are tragically a society that says, well, what are you going to give me? What are you going to do for me to in fact bring my friends into a club? I recently worked with a $200,000 initiation fee club in California. They've got 6 new members the year before that we worked with the club. We put together a stimulus package, so to speak, to in fact have the members bring their friends into the club. 121 new members joined their club with the marketing program we put together. They got 6 previously because they had a program that in fact was not very exciting to the members and did not have a very compelling story to give to their friends, nor was it not packaged very well, so nobody did anything. If you give very little effort in your design, package, and implementation of your marketing program, you will see that type of results with regard to your members and their participation. Membership retention. We've got to start giving more at our clubs. Business centers. You go to any hotel right now and you're seeing very sophisticated business centers. There's no reason there shouldn't be a sophisticated business center at your club so that people can in fact check their emails, send something out, so that I can in fact come to my club and say, get a little business done, take my sport coat off and my tie, and go play some golf. I like my club to in fact meet my needs. The old ATM machine. This is just as former golf professional. I have people come to the pro shop all the time and say, hey pro, lost my rear end at gin rummy or lost my rear end at the golf course. Can you cash a check? Typically it's a Saturday or Sunday. Banks were closed, not available. And so I was there. I typically had $2,000, $3,000 at my pro shop, and I'd cash everybody's check. That should be a benefit to your members if they know they can in fact do that at your club. We've got clubs that say, oh no, no cash, no check cashing. We're not in the banking business. Heck, you're not. What are your receivables every single month? Of course you're in the banking business. Fitness centers are saving the private club industry. I've never met anybody that built a fitness center that said, I wish we built it smaller. Typically, you're seeing members come out to the club, and you know what it does, ladies and gentlemen? It makes the club the members' family's club instead of my club. My beautiful wife of 33 years is not a golfer. And so the club always had been, she would go, are you going out to your club? We put in fitness at the club. Nancy now comes out to the club, uses all those machines. I don't know what those things are that she's on and everything. But the general manager is very nice to her, knows her name, knows what she likes. My wife has celiac disease. She cannot eat gluten. So the general manager comes and says, oh, the chef just had a new sauce for you, Nancy, with regard to this chicken that you were going to have at lunch, and it has no wheat in it. She comes home from lunch and says, I love our club. Before she hated my club, she now loves our club because they're taking care of my wife and my children, and I don't care if they tell me to go to hell. I'm showing up. Dry cleaning, UPS, FedEx. You need to have your members feel as though it's somewhat like a mall. They can come out to their club and get everything they want. The membership director, you know what he or she is? They're not membership director. They're concierge. They are your concierge. I do not believe that membership directors sell memberships. They facilitate the sale of memberships. Private clubs all the time right now are saying, well, we need to hire a membership director because our memberships are down. You know what that does? That tells the members not to do any work because it's Sally's job. It's not Sally's job. But it's not Steve calling up Sally and say, hey, call Steve and Nancy Graves and tell them I'd like to have them join the club. The phone rings and Sally says, the Void said he'd like to have you join the club. I'm going to say, hey, thanks for the call, Sally. I'm going to hang up and Nancy's going to say, who was that? I'm going to say, well, Sally out of Steve's club. I don't know why Steve didn't call me. I want to hear Steve's voice tell me he values me and he and his wife would like my family to be a member of the club. I like that. Now, Sally's going to facilitate the final transaction. She's going to give me the tours and become our concierge. But in my judgment, they do not sell memberships. They facilitate the sale of memberships. This is your time. And folks, general managers, club officials are the answer. But for those of you who think you can keep doing business as usual, you are going to be a statistic of the private club industry. If you think you can make subtle changes at your club, regardless of how prestigious your club is, regardless of the pedigree at your club, you are wrong. You have to, in fact, this is the time for courage and change in the private club industry. There's the laws of diminishing intent. Some of the things I said today may be compelling, may have resonated with you, but by the time you tend to get to your cars, that intent tends to go away, kind of the 24-hour, intent, situation. It's time to step up and make changes. Not foolish changes, but to make changes in the private club industry and understand that change is truly good in the private club industry because, ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing right now with the current business model? We are not succeeding. We are not flourishing. The private club industry is needed. Every community needs successful private clubs. We need to get back that intrinsic value of our family, of our church, synagogue, university, and our club. If we felt again like we do about our family, and there was a time that people thought about their clubs like they do their family, their church, synagogue, university. I'm a graduate of Oklahoma State University. I love them. It was funny how Mr. Steele is from the University of Oklahoma. I'm from Nebraska and graduated from Oklahoma State. For some reason, I just didn't like him while he was talking up there because I love the University of Nebraska and Oklahoma State University. We need to love our clubs like we did that relationship. We'll tend to participate, give money, do whatever. We'll sing every verse of Kumbaya if we can get that same feeling back. But it's not there right now with lots of private clubs. Forgive me for how quick I've spoken. This was, like I said, a 3-hour presentation in 30 minutes. At this juncture, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I'll certainly repeat the question. Any question? Sir?
Is this slide presentation on your website?
It is not, but if you'll email me, I'll be happy to email it to you. Sir? Reciprocal? Yes. It's fascinating to me. Reciprocity was, as far as I was concerned, one of the most compelling reasons to be a member of a private club. Because you joined one club and you became a member of all clubs because there was this open willingness to allow people to associate at your club. If I wrote this letter one time, I wrote it 1,000 times. Dear General Manager, Mr. and Mrs. Steve Boyd are members of Manhattan Country Club. Manhattan Country Club is a member club of the United States Golf Association. As such, reciprocates all the member clubs. Please extend to the Boyds all the privileges that come with membership of Manhattan Country Club. It was solid gold. Until people started getting snitty about, oh, you got to play with a member. You know, we don't allow outside play. Reciprocity is, in my judgment, one of the ways the private club industry will get back its cachet is if clubs start to, in fact, realize it. Folks, I mean, I have with me the tax statute of 501c7 not-for-profit. I've been a lawyer on occasion. When I'm not, as I talk to clubs, I understand the tax ramifications. I understand public accommodation. I understand the 15% unrelated business income. I promise you, having reciprocal play at your club is not going to be what takes you over that threshold. But if clubs would openly embrace people coming and playing their clubs, legitimate private club members from other clubs, you would see people joining clubs more quickly and staying at clubs if clubs went back to the old days of 30 years ago or so, 20 years ago, and allowed general managers and golf professionals to call up and say, I've got 4 of my members that are coming, and you know what club officials always say? Well, I can get in any club I want. No kidding. You're on the board of directors. As a general manager or a golf professional, you influence my career, so I'll get you in any place I can get you. He's the club president. But the other 98% of the members don't get that. They don't understand how wonderful that is, and if that became something that clubs started to do again, the relevance and the cachet would come back, in my less than humble judgment. But everybody's gotten snotty about we don't want outsiders at our club. In my judgment, huge mistake. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Could you speak a little bit to the technology idea and decorum, privacy versus letting the younger people use their cell phones, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, the question is with regard to privacy and decorum. You don't hear cell phones going off as much at theaters and with regard to restaurants and things and people using them. We have to depend upon the credibility of our members of knowing what's right, what's wrong, and decorum. And we have many clubs that say, we can't trust our members for that, so we have specific rules. Well, why do they not have rules that say, don't speak loudly in the main dining room? I don't see that rule anyplace. Don't tell off-color jokes. I don't see that anyplace. But they have to go specificity for some reason on technology because they're just convinced that these kids and or us don't know how to use our technology properly. We need to trust individuals to in fact do what's right and to know not to answer their cell phone. But I'll tell you what, any club that tells me I can't take a glance down at my cell phone during dinner to find out, that either that my child has called and needs me, or that I've got a client who's called and I've got it, on vibrate, and I do now. Should I pull it out and speak at the dinner table? Heavens no. I should be scolded for that. But people don't do that. Now, I know of a guy that did that. So everybody broad brushes the 1 or 2 individuals that are jerks and imposes upon 99% of everybody else these rules because a couple people are jerks. Get rid of the jerks. Take them aside. Suspend them. Write them a nasty letter. But let everybody else, in fact, have the proper decorum that comes along with their education and our societal patterns with regard to getting along with individuals. I mean, I know that's kind of just a broad brush answer, but if you give trust to individuals, they will give you trust in return. Let me repeat that. If you extend trust to your members, they will give you trust in return. There are very few clubs that have tried the denim trial for which the members have failed. 99% of the time, you see appropriate attire. Quite frankly, seldom much denim. People just don't want to be told they can't wear something, that you are dictating what they have to do. I think a club has two things you should be told that's your responsibility. Number one, have a great time at your club. Number two, think about somebody when you talk to them that you would like to invite to join your club. If members just had that in mind, have a great time at our club, and while you're out and you meet someone that you really like, and they may not be your best friend, but you find out that they seem to be an individual that you like, you might want to associate, tell them about your club. They just did those two. I think we go a long way. And I'm sorry, did I give enough specifics to that, ma'am? And if not, I'd be happy to talk with you privately about it. Sir?
Talk a little about the different introducing new classifications of memberships and trying to play with that slippery slope of the current senior member or a current individual member without any children paying a family membership versus a family membership. So when you start to get the dynamics of, okay, you're going to actually get less revenue now from that individual.
Right.
Could you talk about that?
Yeah, great observation. The mistake clubs make is that they start to talk about an individual membership. For example, they immediately say, oh, we've got 163 members who will go to that. We can't do that. First of all, they misjudge that. How many people will, in fact, migrate to that? All you need to do is put in safety nets. When I talk to a club about creating an individual or single membership, first of all, we determine how many people would qualify for that. And then we put in safety nets that say, no one can go to that classification until these things are met. Number one, if you bring in a new member, we'll let you go immediately to that. So there's a dollar-to-dollar benefit to the club. Number two, if we bring in a certain threshold of members, we've done the math that says we're going to lose this much income with everybody migrating to that classification. If we bring in this much income, we're going to allow that to happen immediately. Or lastly, we're going to allow you to go in a systematic fashion over the next 5 years. We're going to allow 20 members every single year for the next 5 years, and it's going to be based upon longest time at the club, not the oldest member. But if you've been here 17 years and I've been here 15 years, you're going to move before I do. Quite simple things. And you know what members will say? Thank you. They will understand that the club's not going to commit financial suicide by just allowing for this migration of individuals, but they'll say, thank you very much. My father passed away 16 years ago. My mom called me up 2 years after my dad passed away and was crying. And I said, Mom, what's the problem? And she goes, well, I didn't really realize, but Daddy was a golf member. I don't play any golf, honey. I've been paying dues for the last couple of years, and I just kind of glanced. I just been methodically writing the checks, and I realized that I'm paying full, golf dues at the club. And so she called the general manager up, and I still to this day want to hop in a car, drive to Omaha, Nebraska, and slug this guy in the mouth. Number one, he said to her, "We don't have a social membership, Mrs. Graves." I wasn't so mad about that, but he said, "You can certainly afford it." Mom quit the club out of principle that she really should have been able to go up and pay $85 a month dues, bring all her little old lady friends up there, play bridge, bring all her friends, do all the things that she wanted to do, but not pay the $500 a month. So they didn't have the classification for mom. And you know why the general manager told me they didn't? Because they knew they had a whole bunch of people like my mom that would work down there. If you'd have told my mom, you're going to be able to go there the next 5 years, she'd have gone, thank you. At least you listen to my needs, and I understand the club. I don't want it to go bankrupt, but I hope it'll go a little bit faster, but thank you for having this place that I can work myself down to. Instead, he says, we don't have it, and you can well afford full dues. He's not there anymore. Sir?
Going back to the classification for a second, one of the arguments I can see about, let's say you talked about the social membership at a modest cost, and you'd be introducing people that you're bringing in, so you're not going to get people that you don't want, but there are people who would feel I'm paying the full dues, and if I want to go out to dinner and the restaurant is crowded, and half the people there are these $27, $47 a month, how would you react?
Oh, I've seen people actually have veins almost pop out of their head, that said, you mean to tell me that I'm going to go out to the club and I pay $600 a month dues and there's going to be somebody there that came out that is 40? I said, yeah, how about making a reservation? I said, yes, there's going to be events that these people, and ladies and gentlemen, golfers don't eat as much as they used to. They just go home. They don't stay at the club as much. I'm a former general manager. You can't make money in a la carte dining unless you have multiples. And so I get this all the time. I don't have to get a reservation. I don't want to, in fact, wait. Someone has to be in front of me. How about getting a reservation? Sometimes your club will be full and you can't get into it. You got to come in a different night. Wouldn't that be a wonderful problem to have? But I've always got people. I'm going to sit down right now. But here's what oftentimes I see as the alternative in boardrooms. I hope I don't offend anybody this, but I will conclude by this. If we got to take the dues up $50, let's just take them up. Because when a guy can't afford $50, do we want him?
That's right.
And so clubs continue to look at the fact that they can afford that. They can pay more, and I'll pay more so someone else can't show up.
Yeah.
How's the private club industry doing right now? Raising dues. Page 11 of this wonderful booklet. Read page 11 about the escalation of dues. 4, 5, 6% a year. We're killing ourselves. Private clubs need higher initiation fees, lower dues. More people paying less. Less people paying more doesn't work. It's not working. It doesn't work. Higher initiation fees, lower dues. Page 11 will tell you the plight of the private club industry. What dues are going up every single year. 5, 6%. It's wrong. Good afternoon.